Hello, I'm Dr. Dan Hale, co-director of the Johns Hopkins Congregational Depression Awareness Program. Today, I have with me Ms. Letitia Higgs, who helped us with the development of the program and who has offered to share with us some of her experiences with a disorder that includes episodes of depression. So welcome, Letitia, and thank you for offering to talk with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. So let me just start by asking you, can you share with us what it's like to have bipolar disorder, the highs, the lows, the challenges that go along with it?
So for me, bipolar, I was actually diagnosed with bipolar 2, and it can be very exhausting because I'm always challenging my thoughts. I'm always trying to make sure that those things that I'm thinking, is it what it is at the time, or is it that my emotions are getting too involved? And what I tell people is that I feel every emotion that everyone else feels, but I feel them more intensely. So when I'm angry, I'm extremely angry. When I'm happy, I'm extremely happy. So it's like I feel those emotions even more intense. And so for me, it can be exhausting feeling those emotions more intensely than most people. And so I have to work constantly to manage those, because one of the things I don't want my emotions to manage me. I want to learn how to master and manage my emotions. For me with bipolar 2, I don't get mania, but I do experience the hypomania. And I'm gonna be honest, I prefer the hypomania over the depression, because with the hypomania, I can get things done. I'm more productive, I'm more focused. But when it comes to the depression, it's very draining. It's like what I explain to people is like this big dark cloud over you. And when it's raining and there's a dark cloud, there's nothing you can do about it until the cloud passes by. The rain passes by, you just put on your raincoat, you use a umbrella, and then you keep going through life until the rain stops. And that's how depression is for me. It's like when it comes, it's nothing I can do but manage it. So I put on my raincoat. That raincoat for me is, maybe talking to friends or getting out the house. I use my umbrella. With that, for me, that would be prayer, that would be meditation, that would be scripture reading, that would be making sure I'm staying on my medications. Sometimes it even go as far as, for me, putting on a raincoat or using an umbrella when that depression cloud comes. Sometimes it's just being able to get out the bed and take a shower, because that's how down I get sometimes. I can't explain to you why, but it just feels so intense, and it's the worst feeling. I don't like it at all.
So that depression can be very debilitating.
Yes, I stay sleepy. In fact, even with the medication, a lot of people think that with the medication, it just takes it away. And for me, I'm not saying that the depression goes away, but the medication helps me to manage it a lot better than what I was without it. And so like, I still have my up and down days, but I'm able to manage it a lot better. So I've said all this to say this past weekend, I dealt with a depressive episode. And so what did I do? I had to put on my raincoat. I had to get my umbrella. And for me, that was getting in the shower, even though I got in the shower late, but it was getting in the shower. And I thank God I have a cat, because my cat will not let me lay in the bed too long. Because one, she wants to eat. And two, she just always checking on me. So she's sniffing on my face. So it's just like, okay, I'm getting up. So I get, my cat is my help. So I get up. I get in the shower, and it just so happened that I had something scheduled with my friends to meet up with a group of my friends that evening. Normally with depression, sometimes I would cancel that because I'm so down, but I was determined I cannot let this beat me. So what I did was went to that event anyway. I had a marvelous time, and it helped with the depression. So that was like my raincoat and my umbrella. It was like, I had to make sure I go, because if I stayed in the house, it was just going to get worse. So it's definitely debilitating. And this is why I prefer, I probably shouldn't say that, but I prefer the hypomania episodes and the depressive episodes, because I can't focus. It's hard to focus. It's hard to, and it's not like you're having thoughts of woe is me. You just feel drained and down. It's more than just an emotional feeling. It's physical. It's physical as well, because you're tired. You're just so drained. It feels so heavy.
Well, can you give us a little bit of your history? And I'm thinking here particularly, looking back now, as this began to develop, are there things you wish you had done differently?
I wish that when I got my diagnosis, I took it seriously.
Okay.
One of the reasons why it was difficult for me to take it seriously, because I was diagnosed in the hospital. I was hospitalized. And that's how I found out my diagnosis. When I was hospitalized, and originally it was my diagnosis with depression, because that was what I kept telling him, that's what I was feeling. But then as I began to share more of my history, then that's when the diagnosis, like, no, you actually are dealing with a depressive episode, but you are diagnosed with bipolar type 2 disorder. So when I was in the hospital and I began to look it up, at first I did not want to accept the diagnosis, either depression or especially bipolar disorder, because my understanding of bipolar disorder is pretty much what others who don't really know about it, is that the erratic behavior, people calling it crazy, you don't, being one way, having one emotion one day and another emotion this day, no one, being unstable. And I had a family member that had bipolar disorder. And at the time when she was diagnosed with manic depressive, which we know is, what was bipolar 1 at first. And so I didn't want to be like that. I was like, no, there's no way I can be like that, because that is not, I wasn't, the behaviors that she exhibited, I did not want to be like that at all. It was abusive, it was mean, it was manipulating, it was controlling. But I had to learn that, that it manifests in people in different ways. But one of the reasons, like I said, going back to what I was saying earlier, I didn't want to accept it because I didn't want to believe that was me, because I didn't have a good understanding. I looked at bipolar disorder with the same stigma that others will look at it. And so not only that, while I was in there studying it, in the middle of me wrestling in the hospital, in the middle of me wrestling with accepting this diagnosis, a nurse in the psychiatric part where I was sits next to me and tells me, it's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You just pray about it. You be all right. We're stronger than this. We're better than this. So of course, when she's saying we, she's another African-American female, and she's telling me this, and I'm feeling like, well, I don't want to be weak. I don't want people to talk about me. I don't want, if I'm in this hospital that's supposed to specialize in mental disorders and mental health and illness and things like this, and the nurse who this hospital hired is telling me this, then I don't want to accept this diagnosis. So I didn't accept it. When I did what I had to do to get out the hospital, which meant I went to all my groups, I took my medicine, but I would say once I got out, I wasn't staying consistent on my medication. And then I wasn't staying consistent in my therapy. And that led me into some more trouble later on, because I'm on and off the medicine, which is not good. And I got in some huge trouble later on down the road. And I was hospitalized about 6 more times within a 2-year period. And then that's when I finally, back in that same hospital, another nurse comes up to me and says, no one can fight harder for your life than you. And I'm like, wow. Okay, it's time to fight, because I cannot come back here again. I cannot do this again. And so that's when I started taking it serious. And because of my experience with the first nurse, that's why I became a mental health advocate, because I wanted to fight against the stigma associated with mental health, because I can just only imagine how many other people out there that are struggling with a mental health condition and don't want to get help or don't want to accept what's wrong and stay consistent with their help or treatment plan because there's stigma that's associated with it.
Well, you've given us two good examples, one of an interaction with someone who was not helpful to you, and another with someone who was. So are there other examples of, looking back again, what people did that was helpful and things that they did that were not helpful?
Oh, wow. So
just a couple of each.
well, so I'm gonna start with those examples that were not helpful. One, telling me to snap out of it. It's like, if I could, I really would snap. Like, who chooses to feel? It's like, I explained to someone one time that depression, the feeling of it is like going through the stages of grief at an unexpected time. When you least expect it, when you don't want it, the stages of grief is right there, and you don't know why you're grieving. You don't know why you're going through all of this. You're just having these intense emotions. And so if I could snap out of it, I really, really would, so snap out of it or pray about it, or it's like, or things of it's not having enough faith. Those are some of the worst things, that people could say to me, because it made me feel worse, as it made me feel like they were telling me it was my fault that I was ill. It made me feel like that I wasn't weak. And then I thought about it after thinking about it, was just like, no, for me to get up every single day and learn how to manage these emotions so that I can live life successfully, that takes a lot of strength, So I had to start telling myself I'm a lot stronger than what others would say. But what helps are those people that don't judge my moments of depression as weakness, but, are willing, like my friends, they knew I was going through it. So she called me and she says, come on, you're getting out the bed. You got to go. You got to come, So friends that understand, they're not, they're empathetic, meaning they're not going to allow you to sit there and get in that sunken place where it's hard to get out, but they're not going to push you so hard and not be so understanding, where they're saying you stuff like, oh, you can get over it, just snap out of it. See, my friends this past weekend didn't say that. They said, no, you got to get out the house, because they knew if I stayed in the house, it was just going to get worse. So things like that, having a pet, because animals, with my cat, at least, she just want to be fed and she doesn't care if I am in a bed, tired, sleep. She's like, no, get up and feed me. And I had a dog at one time before he passed away, and it was him. It was like, nope, come on, let's go, take me for a walk. So it was just having animals that helped me out. Just those that I think those that, what I love the most is, so right now I'm in this dating scene, right? Okay, it's like the worst right now. But those people that I've dated that took the time to understand what bipolar was, they didn't just judge me, but I've met some people that actually went back and researched, and they looked up articles. When I sent, and when I did send them articles, they read about it, asked me questions, asked me what my triggers were, tried to avoid those. To me, that meant a lot, because I felt like you really wanted to get to know me.
Oh, that's great. That's great. It's nice to have those people around.
Yes.
And I know you have fashioned a good life for yourself. And again, I appreciate your contributions to our program. So tell us a little about your life now, and where treatment fits in right now.
So I am staying consistent on my treatment right now. I am on medication. I'm on 2 types of medication, one during the day and one at night, because I know if I don't take my nighttime medicine and I can't sleep, I know I'm going to hypomania. And even though I love the feeling of hypomania, right behind it comes depression. So I try to make sure I take my medicine so I can stay stable. So I am on my medication because I transferred, I'm moved from one location, from one state to another. It's been kind of difficult finding a therapist, but one thing I will do is stay on my medication. Because I haven't found a therapist yet, I knew I still needed to I love talk therapy. So I joined a support group. I joined a local NAMI support group down here. So that helps a whole lot. One of the things that I'm doing, I said, I am a mental health advocate. I started my own YouTube channel and podcast where I interview others that are dealing with a mental health condition, but I don't just interview just anyone that has a mental health condition. I'm looking for those that are living successfully and thriving, just so I can show everyone you can have this and still live successfully. You can have this and still thrive and meet all your goals. So I'm just so happy to say that every person that I've interviewed on the podcast, or because it's shown on YouTube as well, they all have wonderful success stories where, yes, they've gone through the different troubles, the different experiences, but their recovery process, it just, it helps me to erase the stigma. And that's what I'm trying to do, erase the stigma associated with mental health. I'm still an In Our Own Voice presenter for NAMI, so I still share my story being diagnosed with mental health, with bipolar disorder, and the different experiences I've had from that. Let's see, I recently just started my own company. So I'm working on a for-profit company. So I'm working on that, trying to get that. I just registered that, so trying to get that off the ground. And so I want to go back and coach others that are dealing with mental health. I'm not a therapist, but I do want to be a personal coach to say, hey, if I can do it and show you how to get through the steps, along with your treatment plan, then that's what I would like to do. And so I want to be able to connect others to resources and that I've used to help me to get to where I need to be. So those are just some of the things that I'm doing right now.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all those things you're doing now. Thank you for helping us put this program together. And thank you for being here today and sharing. This has been very informative and helpful.